happens is, you got these wholesalers, right? And the wholesalers typically put properties under contract and then they assign them to other investors, right? And they make a spread and assignment fee in the middle. If you guys all probably know what I'm talking about here. But what happens when they can't get the price they need, they're using this new strategy called Novation, where they can go under contract for a little bit more because they intend to put it on the MLS with the permission of the seller and sell it to a retail buyer. But sorry, I got hair in my mouth or something here. The problem is, from my perspective, who's listing these novations on behalf of the investors, is it's still not a guaranteed situation, just like a wholesale. If that wholesaler puts something under contract and they go out and market their wholesale deal, well, if they can't find some buyer to pick it up, they either have to retrade or they're going to back out of the deal. And they never tell the seller that, of course, or the 99% of them don't tell the seller that. So the seller always thinks they're going to close, right? And then just gets to messing with people. You better damn well make sure, that seller isn't taking any action, like going on renting something or putting money down or spending some money or getting in a situation, where there's not a guaranteed close. I don't like the dishonesty, I guess I'll say, about that whole thing, right? If you approach it like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it under contract. I'm going to find somebody to pay me more money. But if I can't, I'm not going to close. I'm just offering you this service, right? So it's hassle-free, blah, blah. That's okay with me if everything's on the up and up. But with this Novation thing, it's still these guys, I'm trying to push them to be on the up and up and just be honest. Like, this is a service that we provide since you don't want to go a traditional way, but it's not a guarantee. It's just a way to help you out for the next 30 or 60 days to see if I can get this done for you at a price that's acceptable to you. And this is what I'm going to do. And, if you're okay with me doing this and you're going to give me access to the property and okay, if I make a profit on top of what your minimum is, then this is what I can do for you. But these guys are going out there doing this and the seller still thinks it's a guarantee. So I go into these houses and I say, so you understand that so-and-so is an investor and they're in business to make a profit. I'm their real estate agent. What they do is, as they've told you, they're going to use, multiple different disposition methods so they can get the highest price, that get the highest profit, right? And so my lane of that, of the 5 ways they might go about doing this, my lane is how I'm doing it as I'm the agent. I work with these investors, right? And so I'm just here to talk to you to make sure you understand that there's going to be a sign out front and that there's going to be buyers in this house because this is the one lane they're using to get that profit above what they are under contract with you for. And I'll tell you what, all the sellers say, okay, that's fine. And then they, do whatever you need to. They'll totally cooperate with me. But then they say, but they're going to close on March 20th anyways. I don't really care how much money they make on top, and I don't care how they go about doing it, but that's their problem, as long as they're going to close on March 20th. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I know they're not going to close on March 20th if, they don't find this third-party buyer to step in. But it's not my lead. I'm just playing the real estate agent role in this scenario, helping these investors, right? I'm even training them how to get their numbers right because they get them wrong. But I'm sitting here teeter-tottering, a couple people here on my team or in my world, deciding whether I actually want to, I don't think I want to be in that position of dishonesty. So little tidbit of what I'm working on in my world today. I work with a lot of investors who do a lot of marketing, right? And my role is to help them monetize and get paid money on the leads they can't place into whatever their system is, wholesaling or these novations, that's ideally my spot, right? To come in and say, God, you're spending all this time and effort and money on marketing. Why don't I can be your concierge partner very easily, no phone calls, no nothing. I have a portal they can drop stuff in. But these guys, it's just, I don't know. This is the do things. This is the honest group here. Seattle Investors Club is kind of do things. There's no cowboying going on here as regards to me. I don't like I don't like putting anybody at risk. So if that doesn't sound good to you, you're in the wrong group, but that's how I roll over here. So there's me. I'm just frustrated today because I'm talking to like some of the top investors in the country that do this. And yes, there are times that it could probably easily work out, but I'm having this struggle of, do I want to be involved in something that I think could work, but yet it's not 100% communicating honesty, or do I not? And do I just want to stay in the lane of honesty? And I'm leaning much towards just, I'm old. I want to sleep at night. I don't want to be messing with toeing the line on anything these days myself. So there's I'm cranky and bitchy today because I feel like, I don't want to step my toes into both worlds. I just want to be in the clean and easy, guys. That's what I'm all about. So what's going on with you guys? What's going on with you, Abigail?
Let's see. Well, I'm actually looking for a note servicer.
A note?
Yeah, a note in second position.
Okay.
I've been having a hard time kind of finding a reliable one. Mariska mentioned some one out in Spokane, and I kind of called them. They just seem a little slow.
Was it Evergreen Note Servicing?
No, she said stay away from them. She said there was Allied out in Spokane that she's like is okay, but she said there really isn't a great note servicer
In Washington State.
Yeah, and then I talked to somebody else who said there's a place out on the peninsula, either like Bremerton or Silverdale, that's actually okay as well. So I'm like, I don't know if she couldn't remember the name, and I'm like, oh great.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Holly, do you know any of that by any chance?
I use Allied. So I
use
just feel
Allied?
like they're a little. Yeah, I haven't had a problem with them. I just think they're a little old school.
Yeah. Okay.
Like there's online and everything, but I haven't had any issue. And then let me look that other one up online here. I haven't used them, but I was recommended. It was like Olympic Peninsula title and escrow, but let me look it up here.
Let me text somebody on my team also that is out there and might know the deal on that too. I just hung up with him.
Yeah.
We'll just do that right here live on Seattle Investors Club. This is what we do, guys. If you're listening to this recording or whatever, we just straight out give out referrals and hand out and help each other live. I'm just hitting up one of my contacts.
Thank you. So yeah, just exploring all sorts of, creative options and things like that. But
I just put in the chat the Olympic title and escrow, but there's two of them. So if you call that one and they say they don't do it, it's the other one. Their name is pretty similar. I don't know exactly which one, but yeah, no issues with Allied.
Oh, good. That's good to know. Okay.
So
very good. Yeah.
Sweetness. What else is happening in your world? Well, Holly, what are you up to?
I just got one out of the 2 units live. So I've just been house hacking and remodeling ourselves mostly, with some help, and doing this with a toddler. So I've realized that, like, moving forward, I want to do things a little bit differently. So it's just the amount of time when you're doing a lot of the work yourself, and then managing life outside of that. I think you really need to put extra buffers in, I would say.
I hear that. So Shang, I want you to introduce you to Holly. Holly is on our team. Cynthia over here also. Hey, Cynthia, what's up?
Hello.
So
Hey.
we're all connected in the same community team here. So Shang and Holly is like the go-to house hacker. So if you have anybody that you know that wants to house hack or is interested in that, whether you're interested in that as an investor yourself or you're a broker investor and you want to help people house hack, Holly here is living that world. That's her world that she lives in. So that's your house hacking person right there. What's up, Ian?
Hey, how you doing?
Are you back in the USA?
Yeah, I'm back, and I listed my park recently, and my agent said we got multiple offers over the weekend.
Wow.
But I'm kind of debating now. So she listed at 3.6. I recently saw the other day another park similar to mine listed at 4.1, and their rents are lower. So now I'm wondering if if we
Well,
went too
listing
low.
price doesn't mean anything, right? I mean, if you see that property sell, that's one thing, but just a listing number doesn't mean it's the right number.
Well, the numbers, it doesn't make sense. Like if someone bought that other park at 4.1, they'd be negative cash flow. So, based on today's interest rates. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of like, I'm happy, but at the same time now I'm like, maybe I should have priced it up a little bit higher.
Well, just counter.
Can you, I mean, like someone offered like 3.5, can I counter at 4 point or like 3.8 when that's higher than what I was asking for?
Oh, you could, I mean, you technically can, but the problem is a little bit of we're getting into broker technical
Yeah.
here. If they brought you an offer at your list price that you agreed to and it's a full price offer, if you don't know them very well and their brokerage firm is hard-nosed, technically, if there aren't any other, is it a cash offer? Is it financing? Are they asking for anything?
I've only got one offer so far. The other ones, they're still coming in. So we'll see. I mean, I think I'm just going to be strict on it. Like, if you need to be 3.6, no, it has to be no financing, nothing, just at the number. I think that's the way I'm.
Did your listing say it would accept financing?
No, I did throw out that I would do the lease option thing, but talking with the 1031 person, they were saying if I asked for a large deposit, that could be, the IRS could look at it as like I'm selling it instead of just doing a lease purchase. So I'm just doing a straight, normal sale. So no seller financing, no lease purchase. So.
Well, I guess what I'd say to you is just because you saw something else listed at 4.1 that doesn't actually make any sense on the numbers. I don't know if I would throw all your focus on that. What you need is your broker who has multiple offers to do their job and escalate the price between the buyers that are on the table, right? Call for a highest and best or feel that out a little bit more, right? I mean, you haven't looked at all the offers yet, right? So you don't even know if the terms are the same, because price doesn't really mean everything. It's the whole package, right? The terms might suck on, something could have a higher price, but the terms aren't great. So I think it's too soon to have that.
Yeah. I haven't even seen the offers yet, so we'll see. I'm just, it's just like something that, I was like, oh great, we got multiple offers, and then I was looking at and I was like, oh shoot, there's another one that's, they're trying to sell for a lot more. So
well, congratulations, because sounds like you got something close to what you want on the table, right? So yeah. Good job. And then we have Mr. Troy Fisher. What is up, brother? I haven't seen you for a while. Look at you, all clean shaven and nice looking over there. What are you up to? Can't hear you.
And 20 years younger because I shaved my beard off.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just busy time of year. The market's changed since January and things have picked up. So I'm working a lot.
Right. So you're a home inspector as well as a investor owning the mobile home park and all that jazz. Are you on fire with calls now? I mean, I imagine that it's just like day and night.
Yeah, I mean, we're multiple offer situations. People are starting to waive inspections again. I mean, I'm getting people calling me, I need an inspection tonight so that we can waive inspection to make offers again.
Yep. I wonder, you guys, do you think that that is a spring thing, or nobody has a crystal ball, right, in regards to all that goes, how it's going to happen. But, if things are going to be tight and frothy and yeah, I guess the thing is, like Jacob Weekber here would say, is that real estate is hyper local, right? So here in our hyper local market of Washington, in the area that we're having multiple offers again right now on lower prices a bit, but still, right? Activity's hot. But the rest of the country, I'm hearing some of that, the rest of the country. If that's not going to help with inflation, interest rates are going to probably continue to climb, right? So if you're an investor and you're out there, you guys got to be super careful when you're buying your deals. If you're not putting a permanent loan in place on your purchase, you better know some alternative runways on how to get refinanced if you're doing any type of hard money or anything like that. Me personally, if I was buying an investment property or something like that, you might want to take the slow go approach and go for something a little bit. If you don't for sure know what your plan is on whatever off ramps you have to get out of any type of hard money, you might want to go the slow route on your investment, right? And put something more permanent in place from the beginning and refinance later. I don't know, Jacob, what do you think?
I mean, I'm always a big fan of just having like 10 different options on the way out. So yeah, I mean, I think we're seeing a lot of people with hard money from the last like 6 to 9 months that are now having trouble either repositioning or selling what they thought they were going to sell for the price they thought they were just going to sell at. So yeah, I think that's on the investor side, kind of better to be a little conservative, either on the price to leave yourself a big price drop at the end, or the ability to change your debt halfway through, either with private money or seller finance structure or something, right?
I mean, for you guys doing a burr, right? You got to be a little careful right now for anybody that's interested in doing that kind of stuff. Daniel, you're flipping. So you bought your property, right? So you're not worried, right?
No, we're not worried. We bought in cash. It's, you buy a good neighborhood with no problems, like you always say, and it's good. I think there's just so low inventory right now.
Yes.
Whenever a house comes on the market, these buyers have been waiting for weeks, and they're like, okay, this is the one. We haven't had a house for like 3 weeks. There's not been anything new, so they get snapped up right now.
I feel like that's especially true in the median price point. We're seeing just like so many people that were not able to buy with their 5-10% down loan product, and from the last 2 years, and now they're all coming to the market. And so yeah, I mean, inventory here is still at like 1.2 months, which is honestly that's a great market for sellers. Even though it's not half a month's inventory, it's still 1.1 to 1.4 months. It's still low inventory, still low.
By the way, I have an off-market deal if anybody is looking for a personal residence, or maybe if you have a buyer in Sammamish, 2-story, 2,440 square foot house. All it really needs is carpet and paint, and maybe a new furnace and hot water tank on reserve on budget there. Neighborhood is, last year was, probably $1,300,000-ish, $1,300,000 something last year. And, if, could probably get it to somebody for $1,175,000-ish. That might be the market, if you're going to sit in there you're going to live there, or whoever's going to live there for, the next 3, 5, 7 years, that's a great deal because it's a, between 1.3 to $1.5 million neighborhood, the more you want, So if anybody has that, I got that on my plate here.
I have one as well, Julie, that I
Yes.
can let everybody know. So it's not on the market yet. I would love to do an off-market deal. It's actually my house. It's in Bellevue, located right off of Northup in the Overlake area, under $1 million, 3-bedroom, 1 bath only. But it's a great house, huge yard, really good neighborhood. So if anybody
Is
interested.
there a builder price at that point at under $1 million?
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah,
Are
maybe.
you guys talking? The two of you, Cynthia and Jacob?
Cindy, you want to
Well,
talk?
Yes, I would love to talk,
sounds
definitely.
good.
Yeah. And actually, it's been used as a Airbnb right now. So it's been great for I got a lot of midterm renters that are interested in it because it's pretty close to all the hospitals. I mean, it's like 20 minutes to anywhere, to Redmond, to Factoria, to downtown Bellevue. So we'll talk.
Jacob, Cynthia's on, you guys know each other. Do you know
yeah.
that? Okay, just
Yeah.
making.
Yeah.
Okay. Right on. Hi, Esther.
Hi, sorry for late. I didn't realize how there are many steps to connect to Zoom for first
No
time.
worries. No worries. How are you? What do you do in real estate? Are you an investor, a broker, or a broker investor? I don't think I've met you before.
I just started investing last year. My market is in Moses Lake area.
Okay.
So we have 3 rental single family homes right now. Yeah, so we're looking into expanding to hopefully in Tacoma area on the side of the mountain. And yeah, hopefully I could learn from you guys.
Sure.
Yes, I just started last year to do it. Yeah.
Do you live in Moses Lake?
No, I live in Seattle, in West
Oh, you live in
Seattle.
Seattle. Okay.
Yeah.
And are you the properties that you bought, did you buy them and then fix them up and then keep them and rent them?
No, actually rent ready, and couple of them, one is older home but is already renovated, and the other 2 are new homes.
And what kind of return are you looking for on your investment there? Are you looking to make what kind of numbers are you in need of for your returns?
So far is very low actually. A lot of people, I've been learning a lot from YouTube, people talking about 10% cash on cash, and I just can't do it. Probably I just get about probably like 3% return. Yeah. So basically I have capital to invest after working with the city of Seattle, and I'm doing very well in the stock market, but right now I want to shift to real estate.
So your challenge is that you have a bunch of capital sitting around earning zero, and you need to deploy it. So you're willing to take a little bit lower return. Is that it?
Yeah.
Do you know how to use the chat in Zoom here? That maybe so you can put your contact information in there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I would like to learn more about real estate markets, and so far I've been using the software to calculate the return, but it's a bit frustrating for me to find out that the return is very low, and looking around how to make it higher, and what kind of strategy, so
Well, the main one that people use around here is they
Mhm.
use what's called the Burr method. You might have heard that, where they buy
Yeah.
something that's in need of, around here, kind of a good sized renovation. It all just reverse engineers into what the return is. The more
Yeah.
you want to push up your return, either the better deal you're going to have to get from the beginning, or the more improvements you're going to need to make to push up, like the rent you can charge, or and so forth. So, are you putting a loan on these properties as you're buying them, or are you paying cash, or what?
So what happened? I had a HELOC of quite a bit, amount actually. In 2018, I had HELOC, so I didn't use it until last year. So then after I purchased these homes, I refinance.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so right now, yeah. So that's what
So you're
happened.
using your HELOC to purchase, which is
Mhm.
at a higher rate probably than, or is it, how's that compared to the rate you're getting on your refinance?
So refinance 6.6%. I got 6%, and HELOC was going up and up, and I was getting so nervous about it.
Yeah.
And then once it hit close to 5%, and then I hurry up did refinance, so I got it at 6% right now.
Right. So technically, you could go, since the way you're buying properties, you could just go straight to a investment property loan and just put a down payment down rather than, right? I mean, you could just put 25% down and go buy some properties.
Yeah,
rather than
I
using-
could do that too. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
so,
for I don't know the current rate at that time when I was gonna use that, it was like getting to 7%. So then I figured it out. I have lower rate in HELOC, and then since it's marching up, the rate is going up and up, and hurry up, I hurry up refinance it.
right.
Yeah.
Well, you're in the right place. If you can, if you can figure out how to, or I can do it for you.
Yeah.
Do you know how to use the chat, or?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, and put your contact information in there, and you're looking for properties, maybe in Tacoma or wherever they pencil, I guess.
Yeah, I've been looking around in Tacoma, but so far, there's not much. I'm looking for duplex, triplex, or fourplex, that kind of properties right now.
Yeah, I know that somebody I know just listed a duplex out. I think I want to say it was in Bremerton, and got multiple offers, got way bid up. It's just crazy again. So you just need
Okay.
what your goal needs to be here, Esther, is probably to make some relationships with people that can dig for things for you off.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Right. And so there's
Yeah.
definitely some people on here that I know can do that for you and grab your contact information and
Good.
put you on your radar. If you're one of those people, why don't you say, hi, Esther, I'm Holly, or hi, Esther, I'm Chang, or whoever, just so she gets a little quick hi. Anybody want to say hi to Esther?
Hello, Esther. I'm Chang.
Hi, nice to meet you.
I just sent you a message.
Oh, okay, thank you.
There you go.
Holly here. Hello.
Thank you. Nice meeting you guys.
Awesome stuff, guys. Well, what else is happening in everybody's world? Anybody have a topic or a question today they want to bring up?
I wanted to see what kind of cap rates people are seeing lately. I'm noticing like the cap rates they're so low that it's like you almost have to pay to buy a property. Like instead of investment, getting cash flow, it's like the other way.
Well, I definitely think you're right. For value add properties, people are paying stuff that when you're buying a value add property on a commercial deal, for example, you're really not, value add investors are paying less attention to what a cap rate going in at is, and they're paying attention to what the repositioned value is, right? And they're just building their pro forma in and they're focused on the end result for those type of investors, right? For somebody that there's a lot of investors that are smart that just want cash flow from day one, you know, and it's a hard question to answer because there is no answer to that. It depends on the property. Like if it's a owner or user type of property, those go for much lower cap rates because those people that are buying those have a different need, right? It has to, you know, they're looking to put their business in there, right? And they're willing, as opposed to paying rent somewhere or and getting all the write-offs related to it. It's kind of a hard question to answer in regards to cap rate, you know, because it varies, depends on whose money you're spending, right? If it's institutional money, they have to get that money spent. They'll take maybe a lower cap rate. I don't know, Jacob, do you want to take a crack at that one? The question was, what are we seeing cap rates at? Well, what kind of product are we talking about here, though, that you're interested in?
Sign?
Ian, are you talking just about
Yeah.
your parks?
No, I'm looking at like apartment complexes. They're, you know, so I was gonna sell my park and 1031 into an apartment complex, but you know, like I said, it was like it doesn't I mean, it pencils because I'm going to be transferring equity into it, but if I didn't do that, then it wouldn't cash flow. If I were to just buy it like standard with like, you know, 25% down, you know, what I've seen is like 5s or lower.
Honestly, I'm hearing investors not even pull the trigger, at least in this area, until they see like an 8 cap.
Yeah,
And
that's someone was telling me just hold off until, you know, they think the apartments or multifamily is going to go down in value because they're overpriced, and then the cap rate's going to go up later on.
Yeah, I think it's just a positive leverage conversation for most investors, because most people are going to put debt unless you're like huge hedge fund. So we're just saying like, hey, if we're borrowing money at 6.5%, we want at least 8% on the cap rate. That's what we're hearing.
What cap rate are we talking about? There's the cap rate on the way in, and then there's the cap rate, you know, for where you need to have your eye on the prize, which is where your stabilized loan is going to go
on the stabilized,
right? On the stabilized
performance.
right?
Yeah.
So you're ignoring the cap rate on the purchase, and you're just doing what your execution plan is, I think.
Well, cap rate doesn't take into account loan, you know. Cap rate is, you know, the the net income divided by the purchase price. So it doesn't incorporate what the loan is.
Not the loan amount, but in terms of like
loan
the value of money and debt. A lot of people are paying attention to that, because like, what's the point in, you know, picking up a 5.5 cap when you could go borrow money at 6.5? Like there's no arbitrage between the leverage. And so, so yeah, it doesn't necessarily account for the loan itself, but when looking at a personal portfolio, I think that's where the investors are kind of pushing back and saying, well, I have no interest in a 5 cap anymore, because I can't get any leverage. I can't get positive leverage on it.
Where's the park, or where's the apartment complex you're looking at?
Oh, I'm just talking in general. I haven't, you know, I haven't set where I'm going to be at yet. In fact, I think what I'm probably going to do is just buy single family, and just wait until the, you know, the cap rates increase.
I'm seeing stabilized properties, if that's what you're going for, because I think that's where you're at, especially in the $3 to $5 million range. They're going to market at market price, so they're not even listing a sales price of these in these asset classes. I got a 80 unit in front of me. It's got an NOI of 280,000, and the list price is market. So I think we're seeing a lot of that, because sellers still think that low cap rates exist, and agents and brokers are saying, well, you're wrong. but you're not listening to me. So let's put it at market and see what people are going to offer.
Yeah.
So I think
I also think they don't know how to price them because of the fluctuating interest rates, right? Because, I mean, possibly too, depending on what kind of deal it is. If it's, if it's stable.
my Marcus and Millichap guy's an idiot. So,
hey, Iyan, we just did a podcast with this guy, with this group. I don't know if it just dropped. I'll have to ask Joe about that, and it was covering the topic of deferred sales trusts, not a DST, which is a Delaware statutory trust, which is where, people put their money in and invest with some group. That a deferred sales trust is something that you should look into if you've not heard of that before. And it's an alternative to a 1031. And it's much more flexible. And there's not the same timelines and things like that. Did we drop that yet, Joe? What was that guy's name? That was, do you remember the name of the group that we can just tell them what it is? I mean,
Was that Brett Schwartz?
Yeah, Brett Schwartz. And it was
Capital. I'll put the link down below.
okay.
Oh, thank you. Is that like a syndication?
No,
Okay.
no, it's not. It is more like a facilitator, but it's not 1031. It's much more flexible. They can talk to you about, they are commercial brokers as well, but they are what I want to call more like facilitators. Let me look it up here a second of what this guy's name is. Capital Gains Tax Solutions with Brett Schwartz, SWARTZ. And everybody should look into that. We're going to have a podcast that we covered on that topic with him here popping out shortly. Jacob, that's really good for everybody here. Emma, everybody needs to know about that kind of that topic right there, especially if you're running in the commercial real estate world. It's a good conversation starter too, as an investor, to have somebody like these guys in your pocket that you can refer sellers to, because sometimes you'll run into sellers that say, yeah, I don't want to sell because I don't want to incur the tax. And if you can introduce whether it's apartments or whatever, introduce a solution for them, then they're more likely to continue the conversation with you about selling their property. Does that make sense, guys?
Is it more like seller finance then?
No, it is an alternative to a 1031 exchange. So it's a way to defer taxes. It's like
Deferred sales trust.
Yeah. Deferred sales trust.
I have a guy that I talk to sometimes and refer people to. And yeah, he went over that once with me on how to do it. It's pretty cool, actually, because you're basically selling, you're kind of like moving the funds to a trust, so you don't actually take possession of it.
Correct.
And they can invest all that money in the
Anything.
trust however they want, and then you kind of take distributions over time to decrease your tax burden.
Correct.
Or you could,
and you can they participate in deciding what you're investing in, but you can, because that's part of the trustee's job, but you can invest in whatever you want. You can talk to them of deals they have, or they have to make sure that it's gonna check all the boxes for what you want to invest in, but it's highly worth checking them out. And these guys are a huge group that do this, very experienced. They're brokers, they're commercial brokers, they're trustees, they're all that stuff. And I think they're based out of California, if I remember correctly. But watch for that podcast if you guys haven't subscribed to the Seattle Investors Club YouTube channel yet. That would be a good thing to do, because we're dropping awesome podcasts most weeks. Sometimes we have people cancel or we have a week or so off, but that will be a good one coming out here shortly. Awesome stuff. What else is going on? We're getting close to around 12:15. Anybody have anything else they want to bring up or talk about? I'm trying my 2023 goal is not to drag this on till 12:30 if we're just not talking about anything, and let everybody get back to what they're doing. But does anybody have anything they want to bring up?
I'm looking into also for sales finance too, sellers finance. Yeah, instead of bank financing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hot topic. You and everybody else in town, right?
Yeah. That's good.
You know, that's one good thing about working with some of the people on my team, because they're highly experienced at that. And both Holly, who's down south, and Shang, who's on my team, we have, and Jacob here too, we have high experience in seller finance transactions to help you. So if you come across a deal even on your own and you need somebody that is going to help you talk through that and get all the paperwork right, we can help you with that, as well as these guys are always having their eye out for those types of opportunities, because that's the language that we speak. So
That's good. That's great. Yeah. My
you're in the right
experience.
place.
Yeah, my experience with the refinance. Oh my goodness, they're asking so many things from me.
Right.
Yeah, to get the loan. Yeah.
It's kind of like talking to people. That's what I'm talking about when there's sellers that have the tax burden, or they're wondering about that. Even whether you're a broker or investor, investor, you always want to be armed with that knowledge so you can continue to push the conversation forward to get that deal that you want to get by introducing the solutions to them, right? You
Yeah.
doesn't matter where you are in real estate or what part of real estate you touch. You just want to be educated enough to introduce the solutions to continue these, add value to the conversations to keep moving things forward, right?
Yeah.
So you're in the right place for that. But
Thank you so much.
absolutely. What else? Anything else anybody's got going on? Looks like Joe dropped Brett's web page or stuff into the chat there. What was the YouTube thing there, Joe? Anyways, take a look at the chat. All right. What else? Anything else? I'm pushing you guys today. Push, push. Push, poke, poke. Anything exciting happen anywhere else? There is some news out there. If you're an investor, I just saw our friend Adrian post about this, that, you know, there's super good rates and breaks for first-time home buyers now. So that's a great market to be in as doing flips, because there's some advantages to the first-time home buyers that are now coming out. If you're into that sort of thing, you want to know about all the new loan updates. We don't have any lenders here on with us today that I can see. They're all off busy doing loans because the market's picking up here. Anything else, Abigail? You got any other questions or?
Yeah, well, I guess I'd just be interested to hear kind of where you've been seeing the most seller financing happening for you.
Yeah, I have not personally been seeing a lot of seller financing happening. I don't know if Jacob has. I know Holly's picked up a deal.
Because everybody's talking about it. And it's funny because especially if you talk to kind of your average retail client, they are so scared of it.
Everybody's talking about it because of the social media, all these real estate gurus. I don't know who everybody is, but everybody's listening to these Pace Morby guy and, you know, all that stuff. And it's the new, you know, topic that all investors are looking at and thinking about and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And most people really don't know what they're talking about. They just know that it exists. And so, you know, like I said, the best way, in my opinion, to get involved in those conversations is to problem solve for the seller that is reluctant to sell or is uneducated about the whole thing themselves, right?
Yeah.
And bring them value with the deferred sales trust guy.
Yeah, because I think a lot of them don't understand that, especially if they're in first position, they don't understand that they can just take back the home if the person defaults. So it's very interesting.
And if they're scared of doing that because they don't want to they're like, I'm too old to foreclose, right?
Yeah.
Well, another solution is a lease option,
Yeah.
right? Where you can get the property off their back, with that sort of thing. It doesn't solve their tax issue. Those are totally two separate things. If somebody wants to defer their tax, then they just need to be educated about the seller financing conversation. And the best way to do that is, if they don't want to trust you, is have a lawyer on your team as part of that can say, hey, why don't you don't have to trust me. I'm here, I'm going to explain the concept of how it works to you, but why don't we get with either your lawyer, or I can introduce you to a real estate lawyer, and they can run over, the pros and cons of it with you, and we can see, if it's a match, right?
Yeah, I do find that the lawyers like to highlight the negatives quite a bit. And I mean, I know it's their duty to really highlight that, but yeah, sometimes I feel like they're like almost so negative about it.
Yeah, I mean,
But
well, have a relationship. Go ahead.
Yeah, to answer your question with some numbers, in the last few months, there have been 145 transactions in Washington that have closed with a wrap, with a deed of trust or a land contract, and they've ranged between $30,000 and $7,750,000.
Okay.
So they're happening.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a niche.
Yeah.
But they're happening in all price points, all the way up to $8 million.
Okay. That's
actually. How are you pulling that information? If
MLS.
On the MLS.
Well, okay, that doesn't.
I mean, when you close a transaction as a broker, you have to say how it was financed, and you can filter based on.
Right, but when you're doing a wrap, you're not closing a transaction. I mean.
Yeah, you are.
Hmm.
Title changes hands, so you actually close
Depends
it.
on how you structure it. Your wrap doesn't have to. If you quit deed it into a trust, land trust, then it doesn't. Will it record? Will it show up on MLS? But you won't know what kind of financing's in there.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you're a broker and you transact like that, then you have to record it as a wrap.
So I'm just clarifying that there's 133. You said 133.
145.
145 since the beginning of the year.
No, in the last 4 months.
Last 4 months that have been transacted by brokers in Washington State.
Correct. So there's probably a lot more that have been off market that haven't been recorded, and that are done individually by investors that have no broker involved.
Yeah,
so
I was just wondering if you had some kind of like magical, data source that was pulling this stuff.
Just broker transactions. Yeah. So it's probably at least double that, I would anticipate.
Okay.
I wonder if you could find that on PropStream somehow with a certain type of search, but I don't know.
It's like Troy's saying, it's really hard to dig into like how that's transacted, just like through core logic or tax records. It's like a really beastly way to look through data.
Yeah. Part of the thing is they don't want you to know that they're dealing like that, right? So it's harder to.
Yeah, that's just brokered self-proclaimed transactions.
I mean, but back to how to get in that situation is, I think you have to be educated enough to plug in the value to these sellers who have their questions. They have tax questions, they have have a CPA, they have legal questions. They don't want to trust you. You're not a lawyer and you don't want to act like one, whether you're an investor or not. And they are going to have like, exchange type of questions. And so there's CPA, the deferred sales trust or exchange people, and there's lawyers and there's investors and there's brokers. And you just need to build that team and say, let's make sure we're all on the same page here, and how to communicate about all that. Right. And just, add value to people is pretty much the answer to everything, to be honest.
Yeah.
Right?
Instead of a lawyer, you might talk about have an MLO who's on call to deal with those kinds of questions.
Yeah. I think Mariska has a national one for that type of stuff too.
Yeah, that's going to be, they're not going to be as negative. They're not going to be as lawyery as lawyers are.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what is MLO?
Mortgage loan originator.
Yeah.
Right on. Anything else today, guys? I'm starting to
Who do you use for your tax? Who are people's go-to tax
For
people?
For what? Doing taxes?
Yeah, for doing taxes that are well versed in real estate.
Hunt Jackson.
Mark Canton.
Yeah.
I have a guy, I don't know what Mark's numbers are, but I have a guy that I feel is good, but he's going to be probably, I don't know, for the average, just even for myself, is $3,000.
Yeah, I've been using this guy Jimmy Luke down in Tennessee for several years, and he's a bit of a character, so not for everyone. Kind of old school, but he's been spot on, and he's actually a big real estate investor. So I think he's he does right by you, but he's
also, sorry to interrupt you, but Buddy, Buddy Buck, Holly, Buddy
Yeah.
has somebody that he recommends that's local, that is investor minded CPA as well. But so is Mark Canton, Hunt Jackson, that Troy just mentioned. Also, again, I don't think he's the cheapest, but you don't really want, do you want the cheapest when you're doing that kind of thing, right?
No.
Probably not. Probably not. All right. I keep pushing because I'm hungry, guys. I'm like totally starving over here. Anybody else got anything today? 12:24.
Is there a way to see how much like new development is being built in an area?
Yes.
Housing starts.
Go ahead, Jacob.
What areas specifically are you looking at?
I don't have a specific area, but my thought is if I'm buying in an area and then there's going to be like, all of a sudden in the next 6 months, there's going to be 20, 30 houses coming online that could impact the value.
Yeah. You want to go to the individual jurisdictions planning department and pull a list of their permits. In Washington, each one's a little bit different. There's a couple of sites that consolidate certain areas, but in general, like if you go to like City of Kirkland and their planning department, usually you can filter to see which permits have been pulled, which ones are active, which ones have been closed out. You can kind of get a good sense just by pulling the permitting data from the planning departments.
Okay.
Yeah, some make it easier than others, but that is a great way to understand kind of what's going on in a certain neighborhood.
I mean, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag, Jacob. Sorry, because that's what I do here. But in the Seattle area, we have something called Seattle in Progress, and it's literally a map of all the projects that are going on in Seattle. I don't know all, but you get a good idea. It's a really helpful site. So if you could find something in whatever state you're looking at, maybe type in something like development in progress and see if there's any consolidated websites like Seattle in Progress in whatever state that you're looking in. That is what I find to be the easiest, because then I can zero in on the neighborhood. I can do it by map, right? Or map-based development progress in Tennessee. Map-based development progress or permits in Tennessee. Something like that is what I would search.
Okay, thank you.
Good stuff. Sweetness. Well,
do you
hey,
guys
I
have this meeting every month?
every Thursday at the
Every
same
Thursday?
time,
Okay,
every single week, 11:30 to 12:30.
that's great. I
Except,
learned a lot. Thank you.
Holly, do you want to
Yeah.
run the show for me next week? Because I'm going to be in Whistler, going to Canada on Thursday.
Nice.
I think so. I think I can. I just have to
Yeah.
double check something on my schedule.
Yeah, let me know if you can't for some reason. Otherwise, I'll turn it over to you next week to run the show here while I trek on up to Whistler with my kids for midwinter break. Yeah, a little snowboarding.
Okay.
As you guys know me well enough by now, you know what my priorities are: snowboarding, hiking, swimming holes, then working, right?
It's a good hobby.
Hey, gotta live, right? All right, I'm gonna call it for today, unless anybody has any last minute thing. I'm gonna say going once, twice, 3 times. Anybody? Burning questions? All good? All right, guys, have a fabulous weekend, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you. You
Bye.
too.